Since 1976, Eastern Michigan University has recognized the champions and leaders that define its rich athletic history through induction into the Athletic Hall of Fame. The excellence, honor, and skill of these men and women reflect the proud history of EMU's illustrious athletic program. As we do every year, let us celebrate a new class of inductees. The blood, sweat, and tears they have shed in the name of competition, and the achievements that have made those sacrifices worth every moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good morning. On behalf of the E-Club, welcome to the 38th Annual Hall of Fame Induction Ceremonies. My name is Robin Bond. I am the president of the E-Club, and I'm going to be your MC for today. Whether you come from around the corner like I did or from hundreds of miles away, welcome home. We're happy to have you. The E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame has a very rich history, as you've seen in the intro video. In its 38 years, there have been a total of 244 individuals inducted into the Hall of Fame. This is a very special group. We are excited to have a number of our past inductees here. Please help me welcome back these individuals in the parade of Hall of Famers. First of all, from the class of 1987, Glenn Davis, track athlete. Formerly known as the voice of EMU athletics, John Fountain. From the class of 1997, Eugene Thomas, track. From the class of 2000, men's golf coach, Jim Nelson. And men's basketball player, Jack Brusewitz. From the class of 2001, Angie Fielder, softball player. From the class of 2004, Jim Streeter, former sports information director and former Ostrich Award winner. And Melissa Bader, softball. From the class of 2005, Dr. Wally Rozier, the team physician. From the class of 2007, Al Jagoudis, basketball and tennis. From the class of 2009, Gary Strickland, athletic trainer. From the class of 2011, Howard Booth, men's gymnastics and cheerleading. And last but not least, Hildred Lewis, football and track athlete. Let's hear it for this amazing group. As we continue with today's celebration, it's important to recognize key EMU contributors and special guests in attendance. Please welcome Chair of the EMU Board of Regents, Regent Francine Parker, Regent Floyd Clack. Is Floyd here? I don't think he's here. Regent Mary Treater Lang, Regent Emeritus James Clifton, Regent Emeritus Dick Robb, and we'd also like to welcome EMU President Sue Martin, Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics Heather Like, Vice President and Secretary to the Board of Regents, Vicki Ream. Vice President for Advancement, Tom Stevick. I know Tom's here. Additionally, I would like to thank the entire EMU faculty, staff, and administrators in attendance. Thank you all for being here. Your support is sincerely appreciated. Thank you very much. The E-Club is proud to help bring great tradition and history of EMU athletics alive through the Hall of Fame celebrations. The E-Club is a chartered chapter through the Alumni Association. Our executive board and membership are comprised of former varsity letter winners from a variety of eras and sports. Our board serves a distinct purpose to the university and to EMU athletics. We promote and preserve pride, tradition, and loyalty among all letter winners of this university. At this time, if you are a former letter winner and you know who you are, please stand. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the event today. Next, we recognize outstanding academic achievements among current EMU student athletes with our Scholar Athlete Banquet. We also honor the current student athletes through our varsity jacket ceremony, in which we assist the athletic department in awarding varsity letter jackets to our first-time letter winners. And we honor, most of all, our letter winners who have brought distinction and pride to the university and themselves through the event here at the Hall of Fame, and that's the reason we're here today. Before we recognize the class of 2013, we need to remember our roots. I want to take a moment to remember those that we have lost in the past year. Men's track and field great Norbert Bader, the Hall of Fame class of 1988. Football all-star Norm Parker, class of 2011, and former women's basketball coach Ann Johnston. Each one of them has left their footprint on EMU athletics. Our next remarks are from the leader of EMU athletics. In just a short time, Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics Heather Like has left a clear and significant imprint on the EMU athletic department. Heather came to EMU last July after compiling an impressive list of athletic administrative positions. She spent the last 15 years at The Ohio State University, most recently serving as Associate Athletic Director for Sport Administration. Heather is a graduate of the University of Michigan, where she earned 4 varsity letters as a member of the softball team. She also has a Juris Doctorate from University of Akron Law School. Heather, we're thrilled to have you, and we're excited about where you're going to take us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Athletic Director Heather Like.
Well, good morning, everyone. Whoa. All right, it's an honor to be here to serve as the Director of Athletics at Eastern Michigan and lead our Department of Athletics. But one of the best parts of the job is the opportunity to celebrate moments like this with all of you who represent the pride and the tradition and the history of Eastern Michigan athletics. Thank you, Robin, and our E-Club for their loyal and continuing support of our Department of Athletics. And thank you to Jessica from the Alumni Organization. She's a behind-the-scenes person today who's done a tremendous amount of hard work to coordinate this celebration. Jessica. And I know the regents were recognized, but I too want to echo my comments to thank them for their presence here and their ongoing support of our university and the leadership that they provide for our great university. Here's one of the things I've enjoyed most since coming to Eastern Michigan Athletics. And it's the opportunity to meet people who wear the Black E with pride, who have loved playing for Eastern Michigan and wearing the green and white jerseys, and they've either worn them or cheered for them. And today, we have the opportunity to celebrate a class who is the best of the best who wore those jerseys. The 7 Hall of Famers today in the class of 2013 demonstrate the qualities that we try to emphasize to our student athletes every day. First, it's discipline. For the countless hours they spent swimming in the pool, running on the track, practicing on the courts and fields, and doing it while balancing their academics and graduating from Eastern Michigan University. Second, it's leadership. Have you heard these words before? Leaders aren't born, they're made. They're made just like anything else through hard work. And this is the price we have to pay to achieve our goals. That's Hall of Fame football coach Vince Lombardi is famous for these words about leadership. And his words describe our Hall of Famers. In this class, you'll find a 3-time captain, a pioneer in women's athletics, and a world-class visionary in managing and leading college athletic departments. Third is excellence. What I've learned is excellence shows up every day. It does not pick and choose. And this group is overflowing with excellence. As a group, they've broken records, won numerous MAC championships, won 2 NAIA national championships, earned All-American honors, a Naismith Award winner, and even had the opportunity to continue their career in professional athletics. They pursued and achieved excellence here at Eastern Michigan University. And finally, pride. Not only are we proud about what they accomplished here as student athletes, but we continue to be proud and have the opportunity to celebrate their success that they've had in their careers as coaches and teachers and counselors and officers, professional athletes, and administrators. We are proud to call you our Hall of Famers. So I would just like to extend my congratulations to the Hall of Fame class of 2013. All of this would not be happening in the athletic department without our loyal support of our president, Susan Martin. She's an inspiring leader who supports our athletic department in numerous ways, but her presence and her ongoing listening ear to all of us in the athletic department is what makes us work every day. So I appreciate her inspiration, and I would like to welcome to the podium our distinguished leader, President Susan Martin.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming and joining us here at Eastern. It's a beautiful winter day here. Everything at Eastern is going well. We have record enrollment for the past 2 years, and we expect to do that again, and also a record number of graduates. You can see the beauty outside, the science complex up the hill, and we're doing everything we can to make sure all of our students, including our student athletes, have a wonderful experience at Eastern. This is a very emotional ceremony every year, and it's very moving to hear the stories and to have you come back. I want to thank you, I want to congratulate you, and again, thank our members of the Board of Regents for coming and joining us today and making the effort to do that. It's really exciting to hear these stories, and I want to thank you so much for coming. Eastern Athletics, Heather talked about wearing the blocky with pride. Whether you were a Normalite, a Huron, or an Eagle, we're all united under the blocky. We all support this great university, and we're so proud of it, and we're proud of you today. Congratulations, inductees. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. In 2008, the E-Club board announced a new award that would be presented at the Hall of Fame ceremony, but only in years that there was a deserving candidate. Today, we will be giving the Ron Ostrich Distinguished Service Award for only the 5th time. The first award was given, of course, to Coach Oak, then to Ed Mazinski, Jack Johnson, and Jim Streeter. This year's recipient is our very own Ken Beamer. Here to make the presentation to Ken is Hall of Famer and Ostrich Award winner, Jim Streeter.
Thanks, Robin. I have my glasses here, so I might have to pull them out at some point. It's a little harder to read sometimes when you get older, but like Robin said several years ago, we added the Ron Ostrich Award for Distinguished Service to honor somebody from the E-Club board that has really done more just beyond and everything that we expected of them and even more than that. And obviously the award is named for the legendary baseball coach Ron Ostrich. And just a little background on Oak, he was the EMU men's head baseball coach from 1965 to 1987 and had an amazing 633 career wins. And over that time, never ducked anybody in the country, became one of the premier baseball programs. His teams won an NAIA national championship in 1970, went to the NCAA Division I College World Series in 1975, where they finished fifth, and finished runner-up in the same tournament in 1976. Oak was named National Coach of the Year and went on to become a Hall of Famer in the American Association of Baseball Coaches. Oak is also credited for our sake with really revitalizing the E-Club. E-Club was on hard times for a long time, kind of a apathy, of lack of interest. Oak stepped in and led a hugely successful fundraising campaign to raise a lot of money to fix up the E-Club room at Wright Anderson Stadium and also to create the Hall of Fame, which is now in the Convocation Center. I'm pleased to announce that this year's winner is none other than Ken Beamer. And just a little background on Ken to fill you in on where he's from. He's a 1959 graduate of Detroit Redford, and because of an early bout with polio, was not allowed to, or not able to run track in high school, but kept track as the love of his life. He was determined when he came to Eastern to run track, and when they had the first meeting to set up the team, Coach George Marshall asked Ken if he had run track before. And just a little fib, Ken said yes. So George said okay, and he said, next thing is, what event do you run? And Ken said, looked at the roster and saw there were not many quarter milers coming back, so he said, I run the quarter mile. So George put him on the team, and 3 years later, Ken was a 3-year letter winner and a pretty fast guy on the track for Eastern Michigan. He has always loved his alma mater, serving 34 years as an educator, spreading the word on Eastern wherever he was, and spent 23 years on the E-Club Executive Board, and was also on the alumni board for a few years. Now, we have sort of a bad precedent here on the E-Club that if you're really good at being the president, you're only supposed to serve 2-year term, and then somebody else comes in and replaces, just to keep kind of things flowing. Well, our bad habit is we keep bringing people back after they've done a good job. And Ken's been already called back twice. He's had 6 years as a president over the years. And we sort of wore him out, but we plan on calling him back again at some point in the future. Now, Ken, as the kind of trooper that he is, had emergency back surgery just a few days ago, but was bound and determined that he was going to come today and accept the award. And his sons, Chris and Kevin, are here to help push him up. And he's going to be in his wheelchair, but he is definitely a trooper to make it here. And I present to you Ken Beamer.
But you gentlemen didn't realize that part of your job is to catch me if I'm going that way. You got it? You with me? Okay. I'll make this short, but I do have a few comments that I'd like to read. We all run into things in our life that can get in the way of what we want to do. Right now, I've got one, but I can tell you what, I'll be back. And anyone that doubts that doesn't understand the power and the strength of us who are Eastern Michigan University Huron letter winners. I'd like to thank the E-Club Board of Directors for honoring me in this way. It's extra special because of Ronald strike. So many of you here, I know who he is, but just because his name is on the award makes it special to me. Not only because he was such a phenomenal coach, and not only because he loves Eastern and lives Eastern and did so much for Eastern. I might have some trouble today. But because he's a true gentleman and cared for his players and his students. When I came to EMU in September of 1959, Eastern had just attained university status. So we were the first freshman class coming in as a university. At the time, it didn't make a whole lot of difference to us. We were all just here to take the next step in our lives. But the thing that was special about that is that there were an awful lot of people here at that time that had been here for a long time. And I had the opportunity to sit in their classrooms and learn from them. These are the people that were here when it was Michigan Normal, Michigan State Normal, Eastern Michigan College, and they were developing athletic and academic programs that we continue to recognize today. These are the real pioneers, and I was blessed to have known them and have learned from them. I was a physical education major, and many of them taught courses in that major as well as in my minor, health ed. If you were coaching at Eastern at that time, you were also full-time in the classroom. I'm going to just mention a few of them. I don't want to, this is such a special day for the honorees that I don't want to take time away from them, but there are some people I'd like to mention. And some of the names are going to be familiar to you, and as I saw a number of what I would call, I guess us now, older timers, you're going to know who they are. And some of these names are on buildings on this campus. All but one are gone from us now, and so they're in our memories. And that's the thing that we need to remember, is that in this tradition, we don't forget people. Things like this let us honor people, but we got to keep them in our hearts, and we have to keep them in front of the people that attend this institution. Fred Trosco, football coach in the 50s, was a very, very good football coach. Won the IIAC once. I think he might have almost won it a second time. Gussy Harris. Gussy Harris was one of the smoothest dancers you will have ever seen in your life. And as a physical education major, we had to take a dance class. Of course, all the guys loved this. But she made it fun. She was special to be around. Elton Reinerson. His name is on the football stadium out there. Successful coach in many sports. He taught me anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology. And he expected so much of us. I never missed a class. And that class met Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. in the morning in Bowen Fieldhouse. Two reasons why I didn't miss the class. Number one, I was afraid to, because this guy was tough. And because he expected so much from us, I was afraid I would miss something. I would lose something, and I needed to stay up with it. I still remember the box of bones that sat on his desk. And we had the oral in anatomy and physiology. I see some guys going, yeah? Hear that? Huh? Walk in, stand at the desk, he'd pick a bone out of the box, want to know what it is. He didn't just want to know where the bone was, he wanted to know what that part was, and that part was, and that part was. And we knew it because we were afraid not to. Good man. Lloyd Olds, long tradition, credited with devising the infamous striped official shirt that everybody doesn't like anymore because they never make the kind of call that you want them to make in the ball game anyway. Taught a lot of health classes here, involved in wrestling, international wrestling, and a great man. James M. Bingo Brown, Dean of Men, was always there for us. One of the finest orators I have ever heard in my life. If you think you turn on the TV and hear somebody now, this gentleman was absolutely amazing. I loved him dearly. Meryl Hershey. Meryl Hershey was shorter than me. Now, I'm not very tall, but he was a quarter miler back in the 1930s. He ran faster in the 1930s than they were running in the 1950s, and he was about this tall. I think he had an affinity to me because I wasn't very tall either, and I ran the quarter. So we got along well together. After my running career was over here, I worked a year for him as a trainer, student trainer, and not only did I learn about some sports medicine, but I learned to look not only as the injury, but the injured, the person. Bill Crouch, Terry Clark's here somewhere today, that's his father-in-law, was a baseball coach, and he was my academic advisor. And I'm going to mention one other before I get to my coach, Hayes Jones. I'm a kid that's about 17 years of age. I'm on Golden Fieldhouse's track, trying to be a quarter miler, and I get to work out on the same track as the most famous hurdler in the world at that time, and the best hurdler in the world at that time, with over 50 straight indoor wins all over the world. And the reason I'll mention him is two reasons. Number one, when he went to Rome and he got the bronze, that wasn't the end of it for him. 4 years later, he went and got the gold. Back then, you didn't get millions of dollars from Adidas to run. You couldn't teach physical education, or that they thought you were a pro. So he did this all on his own. But the most important thing was, as big as he was, as important as he was to the track world and to this institution, never once did I ever see him lord it over anybody, make a big deal of himself. He was always just our teammate. And that's extra special to me. And finally, this could be tough. My coach, George Marshall. Geez, I wasn't going to do this. Let me just say, he was like a father to me, and I loved him dearly. And I patterned my coaching career after him, because I thought that was the way to do things. But he told me and taught me that I could be as good as I wanted to be, as long as I was willing to dedicate myself to it, work as hard as I could, and as hard as was necessary, and there were no shortcuts. All of these people are in the Hall of Fame, and I congratulate all of you who are entering into it today. Don't make this ceremony the last part of your entry into the Hall of Fame. Make it the first step and stay with it and support it. All of these people are in the Hall of Fame, and we should remember that the real measurement, in my opinion, this is me talking now, in my opinion, of a university is not the beautiful campus or the facilities. Those are important and very necessary, but it's not just that. It's the special people, teachers and coaches, who stand daily in front of their students, who are waiting and wanting to be challenged to learn, to grow, to be faster, to stronger, smarter, and better citizens. These people did that for me, and I will be forever grateful to them for their gifts they gave me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. On behalf of the E-Club Board of Directors, the Ron Ostrich Award.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. Now it's time to induct our newest class into the E-Club Athletics Hall of Fame. Our first inductee of the day is Dennis Obetz. Let's enjoy his video.
Dennis Obetz, class of 1971, left his mark in the history of EMU men's swimming and diving with multiple records, honors, and national championships. As team captain for 3 years, his strong leadership skills helped the team achieve great success. Obetz came to EMU from Roosevelt High School as a record holder in the 100 and 200-yard breaststroke. He immediately brought Eastern into the limelight by becoming one of EMU's first NAIA All-American swimmers as a member of the 400-yard medley relay team in 1967. That was only the beginning for Dennis Obetz, as he helped lead EMU to win the NAIA National Championship in both 1968 and 1969, and earned NAIA All-American honors a total of 3 times. In 1969, during his senior year, Dennis set NAIA national records and EMU varsity records in both the 400-yard medley relay and the 200-yard breaststroke. That same year, he also set a new EMU varsity record in the 100-yard breaststroke. Following his senior year, Dennis remained close to the team as an assistant coach under Hall of Fame coach Mike Jones. That year, EMU won the 1970 NAIA National Championship. After graduating from EMU, Obetz spent 26 years in law enforcement, retiring from the Michigan State Police Department in 2001. During his tenure there, he displayed his EMU spirit once again by winning swimming medals at several state and international police and fire Olympics competitions. With record after record and as many honors to his name, Dennis Obetz is an ideal inductee into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Here to give us a little more insight. Here to give us a little more insight on Dennis is his longtime friend, EMU letter winner and alumnus, Jim Ryan.
It's an honor for me to introduce today's first inductee into the Eastern Michigan University Athletic Hall of Fame from the class of 2013. I do this on behalf of his wife, Debbie, his family, his swimming teammates, and his Arm of Honor fraternity brothers who are here today. This Hall of Famer, as you saw in that excellent video, was an outstanding swimmer here at the university. He had the honor of swimming for a Hall of Fame coach, Mike Jones. He felt blessed to swim for Coach Jones and coach with him coach and to know him after he stopped swimming here at the college. As far as his swimming success, I remember when he returned from the 1979 National Championships. He told the story of seeing a swimmer in the far lane and how he battled him the entire race. And he was able to touch first, and when he looked over to see who that swimmer was, there was no one there. He had won that national semifinal by 20 yards and set a new national record. And to this very day, he swears there was the phantom swimmer in the outside lane. Now, besides being a national record holder, a 3-time All-American swimmer, and a 4-year letter winner, this inductee is a loving husband to his wife, Debbie, a proud father to Greg, Lori, and Desiree, and a loving grandfather to Ava, Grayson, Reed, and Noah. He's a person of great character, and his loyalty is unquestioned. He had an excellent 26-year career with the Michigan State Police, and I even remember one time that he pulled me over on I-96. Thankfully, it was a joke, and that was before he received his promotion to a command position. I am very proud to present for induction into the Eastern Michigan University Athletic Hall of Fame a 3-time All-American swimmer, a national record holder, and a 3-time captain of the university swim team that won 2 national championships. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dennis Betts.
I'm glad Jim started off this way so now I can wear my glasses as we get older. Little side note, thank you, Dr. Ryan. As you already know, Jim was a basketball player here while I was swimming. Fraternity brother, we pledged together. Spring of '67, so it's 46 years or so. Longtime friend, and of course, best man at our wedding. And as you just heard, an excellent speaker, so thank you, Jim. I would like to thank Dr. Martin and Eastern Michigan University. I know Dr. Martin wasn't here when I swam, but for the opportunity to swim here, Robin and the rest of the board of directors from the E-Club for this great honor that's being bestowed on me. I'd also like to thank my family. Jim already introduced them, so I can cut a few seconds off there. For their support. My 3 brothers are also here. Many of the fraternity brothers and other friends that have traveled in support of me, I thank you too. I want to thank Jack Johnson, my host, and definitely want to thank Jessica for all the help and information that she gave Jim and I to prepare for this. Would like to excuse me. I know I'm cutting into my time now. Would like to thank some of those who couldn't attend. I'm sorry. I knew this was going to happen. So. My mom and dad, of course, because they signed us up for swim lessons at the old YMCA in Ann Arbor. So if anybody is familiar with that, yes, I was a guppy, a tadpole, a fish, a flying fish, the barracuda, the shark, the whale. I don't know how much farther it went. So I went all through that. I think some of you will recognize Bill Morris. Bill Morris was my first high school coach. Okay. And he was the one that converted me from a backstroker to a breaststroker. And because my older brothers, we were all backstrokers. So when I came along, of course, I was going to be a backstroker. I mean, that's just family tradition. And I think I was the only one that could probably at that day could swim breaststroke legally. And he had a few guys that could swim backstroke. So, of course, I was converted, and this is where I ended up today. It was already mentioned, you know, Hall of Fame coach Mike Jones. What can I say? You know, the man led us, took me to accomplishments, levels, achievements that I thought would never be possible. So, you know, with this award, as the sayings go, you know, this is like the icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae, getting to square four in a four-square game, finding the golden egg in an Easter egg hunt. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this. Sports, athletics was a major part of my life. And as much as I don't want to admit this in front of my kids and my grandkids, I wasn't the greatest of students. It was a little hard concentrating, studying. You know, I would sometimes slack off in that. But because of athletics, because of sports, and because I wanted to participate, is you had to be eligible. In high school, I remember taking a little blue card around every week to the teachers to have them sign it so I could swim and play sports. College, same thing. You know, every semester you had to have a grade point and a certain number of hours. If you didn't participate. So thanks to athletics and thanks to sports, I got through high school and I got through college and I got a degree. So I really appreciate that. So kids, contrary to what the stories you've heard from some of my fraternity brothers, I did do something well at Eastern, besides partying and chasing girls around. But, you know, who would have thought as a young little skinny kid growing up that I would be here? I'm sure that many of you that participate, I know some of my days, younger days, when there wasn't anybody around to play, I would be seen running back and forth in the front yard playing invisible football, you know, dodging tacklers, throwing myself the 50-yard pass that, you know, was 2 or 3 feet long, and you'd catch it and score the winning touchdown, or maybe shooting hoops over by the garage and scoring the winning basket, or maybe baseball in the side yard, because we had a big yard. I'd throw the ball up and hit it, you know, and hit a home run and run around the bases to the cheering crowd, you know, and so on. That didn't last very long because generally I had to stop and run across the field to find the ball. And sometimes I lost them, and so. Swimming was, unfortunately, was a little different, and that was that, of course, you couldn't pretend that you were swimming in the front yard, even on the rainiest days. I mean, can you imagine the looks I would have gotten? That here I am crawling around on the ground, pretending like I'm in a big race and doing a flip turn off a fence or a maple tree or something. But it was there. It was there. Swimming to me was just, along with other sports, was just fun. You know, I enjoyed swimming at the old Sisterka Lake or at the cottage up north. I just enjoyed it. I think for my parents it was more of a survival skill because my dad loved to take us water skiing and would drive the old Diane, that's the wooden boat. And you had to learn to swim and float because sometimes when you fell, it took my dad a while to realize that I had fallen, and it takes him a while to turn around to come back. So you had to survive, so that was one of the big skills of having swimming. It was just awesome. Just awesome for this award to think that I actually accomplished something, that I made it this far. Swimming, yes, I think some of you might say, was very boring sometimes. I mean, can you imagine just swimming back and forth, up and down the pool, a number of laps this time and a break, and then a number of laps this time? You know, I couldn't run outside where you look at the sky and the scenery, and you just looked at the bottom and went back and forth and back and forth. you know, but you kind of got over that. You would think about things, think about maybe something coming up that weekend or so. As long as you don't lose count of how many laps you did, you were okay. But who would know that because of swimming that I would end up here and end up with this award? It is just fantastic. Again, I thank Eastern for the opportunity. I thank the E-Club for the consideration and the award. And just a little food for thought. Did you know that it takes 3,756 of those little 1-inch black tile to make one lane marker all the way up and down the pool? Go Hurons. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dennis. Our second inductee today is one of EMU's top men's basketball players, Earl Boykins. Let's see the video.
From the class of 1998, who can forget our famed basketball star, Earl Boykins? Being under 6 feet tall didn't stop Boykins from starting all 4 years at EMU and then going on to an outstanding NBA career. Hailing from Cleveland Central Catholic High School, Earl led EMU to a 4-year record of 87 and 36. 2 NCAA tournament appearances, and 1 NIT postseason tournament. Earl became an instant starter at point guard as a freshman, and by his senior year, he finished second in the nation in scoring at 25.7 points per game. He scored a total of 2,211 career points and holds the career record for total assists at EMU with 624. In 1997, Boykins was named USA Basketball's Male Athlete of the Year after leading the U.S. team to the gold medal at the 1997 World University Games. He won the Francis Pomeroy Naismith Award in 1998 as the nation's outstanding senior male basketball player under 5 feet 8 inches tall. The accolades continued to rain down in 1998 as Earl was named the most valuable player in the Mid-American Conference Tournament after scoring a record 89 points in 3 games. After graduation from EMU, Earl Boykins went on to an illustrious NBA career, playing 13 seasons with 10 different teams, including the Washington Wizards, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Denver Nuggets. Boykins held the honor of being the second shortest player in NBA history. What Earl Boykins lacked in stature, he made up for in skill, heart, and determination. In 2004, Boykins scored 32 points in a Denver Nuggets home win over the Detroit Pistons, making him the shortest player in NBA history to score 30 or more points during a game. In 2005, he led the Western Conference in free throw percentage. Earl Boykins defied the odds and used his strength and skills to forge a stellar athletic career. His numerous accomplishments and his outstanding representation of EMU athletics make him the ideal inductee into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Please join me. Please join me in welcoming teammate and roommate while at EMU, James Head.
Good morning to everyone. I'd like to thank all the faculty and staff for having me today. I'd like to thank Earl and his family for giving me the opportunity to speak on this auspicious occasion. I quote, to whom much is given, much will be required. If no one knows this man, Earl is a very dedicated and oriented family man. Earl has never changed nor forgot about the people who he grew up with. There has never been a man or a more positive friend to influence my life to better others around me than Earl Boykins. This man has overcome many challenges in life, but not being initially drafted in the NBA, he did not stop, but he went down to the minor league and dominated the league. He was called up after 5 games. Earl sets the bar standard high and expects everyone to bring their best. This man will not be denied greatness. Once he sets his mind to do something, he will impose his will, or he will also either find a way to, let me correct that. Once he sets his mind to do something, he will impose his will on you to either help accomplish, or he will find a way to attain a path to achieve it. It's with great honor and pride that I congratulate my teammate, friend, and brother, Earl Boykins.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Earl Boykins.
Man, that's an interesting picture with the collar and the tie. Thanks everybody for coming out for this event. I'd like to thank the E Club for presenting me with such an unbelievable and humbling honor. This is great. I never thought, or I never even played basketball for this type of recognition, and to be recognized with an honor like this, it lets me know that not only myself, but Derrick, James, the entire coaching staff, that we did something right while we were here. I'd like to thank, the coaches that I had here were unbelievable. Derrick, we had Hall of Fame teammates, Hall of Fame coaches. It was one of the funnest periods of my life representing you guys, and I just hope you guys enjoyed the show that we put on every night when we played. I'd like to thank God, for just giving me an unbelievable gift. I always tell people that the game of basketball has never been hard for me. From the time I was young, even playing in the NBA, it's always been easy for me. It's always come second nature. And the reason why is just that I've been blessed with an unbelievable gift from the man upstairs. I'd like to thank my parents, my mom, my stepmom, for always being there for me, always supporting me, always helping out any way any way you guys can for spoiling me, making sure I got whatever I wanted growing up. My dad, he was my role model growing up. I looked at other NBA players such as Isaiah Thomas, but you know, for me growing up, my dad was the guy who I looked up to, who I wanted to play like. He was the standard. He was the player that I wanted to be better than growing up. And I'd just like to thank you for always taking me to the gym, always giving me great advice, especially on one of the roughest days that I thought I had in my life when I didn't get drafted. And I remember you telling me nothing happened tonight except they didn't call your name on television. You're still going to play in the NBA. So thank you for that advice. Last but not least, oh, I forgot. My wife's parents. No, thank you guys for, you know, for putting up with me, always supporting me, and just giving me such a beautiful wife. Thank you. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my wife, who I met here at Eastern 17 years ago. We've been married for 9 years. Thank you for giving me 2 beautiful children. My daughter's here, my son, he's back in Denver. He has a playoff game, so his priorities are together. But Keon, thank you for always being there for me, for being my life partner, and just being my best friend. And I thank you and I love you. And last, just thank you guys for coming out and supporting us. This is a great event. James, you did a good job. You did a good job. Thank you.
Congratulations from all of us, Earl, and I'm sure maybe your best move was remembering your wife's parents. Our next inductee left her mark on the track at EMU, Joanne Clark. Let's see the video.
Joanne Clark, class of 1989, is one of the most decorated women's track and field stars in EMU history. Performing well in both outdoor and indoor track events, she proved herself as an outstanding runner and a fine representative of the EMU athletic tradition. Joanne originally comes from the island of Barbados, with its warm tropical climate. But Michigan weather didn't seem to be an issue for Joanne, who took the world of collegiate athletics by storm, one event at a time. During her years at EMU, Clark won a total of 5 Mid-American Conference individual titles and ran on 4 championship relay teams. In 1982, in indoor track, Joanne won the 60-meter dash and ran on the first-place 4x200-meter relay team. That same year, in outdoor track, she came out on top in the 200-meter and was a member of the winning 4x100-meter relay and shuttle relay teams. In outdoor track, Clark ran on the 1984 winning 4x100-meter relay team, and she brought home the victory in the 55-meter dash that year as well. In 1985, the first-place finishes kept coming her way in outdoor track, as Joanne won both the 100 and 200-meter races and contributed to the win for the 4x100-meter relay team. A talented runner like Joanne doesn't come along very often. So for her many individual track and field accomplishments and her exemplary teamwork, Joanne Clark is an ideal candidate for induction into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Here to present Joanne is EMU track and field standout Joseph Codrington.
Good morning if it's still morning, and good afternoon if it's already past noon. I have my glasses, but I don't have a speech. I don't need one. The nice, wonderful cold weather brought all the memories back. Just to set it up a bit, David Phillips and myself were the first two athletes, track and field athletes from Barbados to come here. We got the lucky end of the stick. We came in August when it was still 80 degrees. So we had a nice, easy roll into 2 degrees. After watching us run and train, the current coach at the time, Dennis Folletti, asked me, "Are there any girls in Barbados that can run?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Well, I want to get some." I said, "How many you need?" He said, "I need about 3. I said, "Okay, let me make a call." So I called back to my club, and I remembered what particular events he said, and said, "I want to talk to Joanne Clark, I want to talk to Ingrid Boyce, and Gina Tempro." And they were here. They came in January. In 1982, it was this cold outside. I had a chance to kind of work, when I came to work on the cold weather. I went outside like 4 o'clock in the morning. I ran in shorts. It was 70 degrees, and I was like, yep, I'm getting ready for the cold. After I got here, I knew that didn't work. So I told Joanne and Ingrid and Gina, you guys need to wear something warm. There's nothing warm in Barbados. So when they got on the plane and got here, Joanne came with some nice white wedding gloves. That's the closest thing we had to being warm. It was probably like 7 degrees out, and they were freezing. Just to walk from the car, from the airport into the car. It was very, very cold. It was like that today. Now, Joanna was able to weather it, as you saw. She's done very well. You saw in the video. She was able to do all the things that she did, return to Barbados. She then did some things for upcoming youth. She was a member of the Barbados AAA or AAA Federation. That's the Federation for Track and Field. She was the secretary. She's been to the Olympics. She mentored many youngsters coming up. She spent maybe another 8 years in the island of Bermuda doing the same thing. She's back in Barbados doing the same thing again with one of the schools there. And so she's been in 80 degrees all along for the past couple of years. So now she comes back today. It's 11 degrees outside. She's very, very cold. When she's speaking, if you can't understand her, just ask for clarification. She still has that Bajan accent, and she's a little cold. It's an honor for me to welcome her here. Out of those 3 girls that I first mentioned, 2 of them have been inducted. 1 already, and now Joanne. We ended up with a total of 14 track and field athletes from Barbados coming through here at Eastern. I am not sure I can get any more to come in the cold weather. They all asked me, how close is it to Florida? And I was like, really close. But that hasn't worked. So I'm still trying to get some more. I'm not sure we'll get them. But the flavor and taste of Barbados is here. I present to you Joanne Clark.
I believe it is still morning. I'm a little bit hoarse because, as Kaji said, I got off the flight last night from 84 degrees weather. Woke up this morning with a sore throat. Ears are blocked, nose are blocked, everything pretty much blocked. I must say that I'm humble, honored, and at the same time, excited to be back here at Eastern to receive this award of being an inductee into the Eastern Michigan Hall of Fame. There are many persons who would have made this journey a very pleasant one, and there's some who try to make it a miserable one, but we'll only talk about the pleasant ones this morning. I want to thank Eastern for awarding me with a full athletic scholarship, where I was able to complete my degree in physical education. As the youngest child coming from a big family, I would probably not have seen the inside of a university since my parents couldn't afford it. Special thanks to Bob Maybar, my coach, who would emphasize that winning is the goal, but accepted defeat gracefully as long as we tried our best. Bob Hunt, a little 5-foot giant, my assistant coach, who approached every situation with a smile. Coach Bob Parks, who was the men's track and field coach, but was like a dad to all of us. And my friend Joseph Codrington. How dare Joseph come up here and talk about my white wedding gloves? I was very excited about those wedding gloves because I heard that when you get to the United States, it was going to be cold and you had to have these gloves on, and I didn't know what they were talking about. The only thing I could find in my house was my sister's wedding gloves. So I brought those along with me, but actually when I got to the airport and I looked around and I said to Ingrid, look at those people's hands. That's not what they're wearing, girl. Put away those things. So we quickly hid those gloves away. But I want to thank Kaji, my presenter, who was like a big brother to us. He would come and take us to Kmart and Kroger's and wherever we wanted to go. And Joseph was the smartest one of all of us. So we always went to him when we wanted some assistance with studying. I want to thank this lady last, but by no means least. This is a lady who felt so sorry for me when I was here at Eastern, that she took me to her house in Detroit. And when her mom saw me, she literally adopted me. She figured she had to adopt me. I needed someone. So every weekend she would cook a whole pot of food and send up to Ypsilanti for me so that I had food for the entire week. And whenever there were big sales on in Detroit, she would do some shopping and send it for me. My good friend, Crystal Jackson, who is sitting in the audience. Crystal was such a good friend that she is now my daughter's godmother, and my daughter is 23 years. That shows how far back our friendship goes. Crystal, thanks ever so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my acceptance and receipt of this award and honor would not be complete without letting you know a bit about Joanne, the student athlete, and Joanne, the mother, teacher, coach, and administrator. 32 years ago, I left my home at the age of 17 and boarded a flight to Detroit, Michigan. I remember when I got to Miami, and this was the first time I was coming to the United States, the customs officer asked me how hot it was in Barbados. I told him about 85 degrees. He asked me if I knew how cold it was in Detroit. I said no. He replied, I didn't think so. The reason he said that was because I was dressed, I'll never forget. I was wearing a brown polyester dress. You know how light polyester is? And some open-toe shoes. And a little sweater, and I thought I had it going on. Little did I know I was about to die. Anyway, he said to me that it was 30 degrees below zero in Detroit, and I was like, okay, because what does 30 degrees below zero meant to me? He actually said to me, be careful, because Detroit is so cold now, it's 30 degrees below zero. And if you touch your nose, it'll probably break off. Well, this is the God's honest truth. I did not wash my face for a week. I was terrified that my nose was gonna break off. So I would get a wet towel and wipe my face every morning trying to avoid my nose. Until one morning I went into the bathroom and I saw my sweet mate, and she was there washing her face in the sink, and I thought, but if her nose ain't gonna break off, why is mine gonna break off? So then I thought, okay, I'm gonna start washing my face. So there goes the story. Attending Eastern was possibly one of the hardest tasks I faced to date. Balancing training and studying was not easy, but what made it even more difficult was the weather. I remembered it like it was yesterday. The first time I competed indoors, my chest was on fire. And all I could think was, are these people mad? How can anyone expect me to compete in this place? And if I thought that was bad, when I got outdoors, it was a challenge adjusting. Sorry, let me go back. If you thought that was bad, when I got outdoors for my first outdoor meets, indoors seemed like a breeze. I remember the first cross-country run that I had to do. I went out Eastern Gates, and the first set of trees that I found, I hid in those trees. Until I saw everyone go around, and I waited and waited and waited till they come back. And luckily, I had some water in my hand as well. So when I saw them passing, I counted maybe about 23 persons, and I thought, okay, this is a good place to jump in. So I got back onto the road, dust a little bit of water, sprint back in quickly. Coach thought I did very well. I did too. I thought I did very well. I had 3 good years of performing at Eastern, and one that was plagued with injuries. But I know that I gave my best at Eastern. Since leaving Eastern, I returned to Barbados, where I taught at my alma mater school, the Allen School, for 12 years before taking up a teaching position in Bermuda for 9 years. I'm currently teaching at a school in Barbados, the Ellerslie Secondary School. I've served as a General Secretary of the Athletic Association of Barbados, the governing body for track and field administration and development, for approximately 8 years. I served as either coach or manager of many national teams. The Carifta Games, which is one of our biggest competitions within the Caribbean, the CSE Games, the Pan American Games, the Commonwealth Games, World Juniors, World Championships, and the Olympic Games. I was fortunate to manage the Barbados Commonwealth Games team in Malaysia, where Barbados gained its first gold medal, and the Olympic Games team to Australia, where Barbados received its first ever Olympic medal. I thank God every day for all these wonderful opportunities He provided me with. I am not as active in track and field as I used to, because I guess at my age, and I am going 50 soon, if you break or tear anything, those things don't heal back anymore. I am still single, hint, hint, and enjoying my independence. I have one daughter who is in her final year of management studies at the University of West Indies in Barbados, and would have loved to be here, but unfortunately, that was not to be. However, one of my very close friends from Gary, Indiana, and my former principal from San Secretary Middle School in the island of Bermuda decided that he was gonna come here today because he did not want me to travel all this way without having some support. Dr. Timothy Jackson, thanks ever so much. I have been very fortunate to own my own home in one of the finest areas of Barbados, and this would not have been possible if Eastern Michigan did not give me the opportunity to become a teacher and earn a decent living. I know some of you might not agree with that decent living part thing, but teachers, we don't make any money. My prayer is that Eastern Michigan will continue this wonderful program it has that allows athletes like myself to fulfill our dreams, and I ask God blessing on this fine institution. To Jessica, the board of directors, the organizing committee, of the E-Club. I wish you success in all your endeavors, and we, the recipients, thank you so much for this honor. Thank you. God bless.
Congratulations, Joanne. I have to admit that our next inductee is personal to me. She's one of my classmates who I knew very well. So I have a funny story to relate. So who wants to be in a class with a great basketball player if you're awful at basketball? I had that opportunity. I was in class and we were supposed to be learning about basketball offenses and defenses, and Claudia Wasik was the professor, and those of you who know Claudia know that she's tough as nails. Claudia asked me what kind of offense we'd be running, and I have to admit I just don't know much about basketball. And I said, I don't know, I'm just throwing it to Wandella. And that got me in big trouble with Claudia. Our next inductee is a two-sport great in women's basketball and track and field, Wandella Devers. Let's see the video.
The class of 1974's Wandella Devers showed tremendous dedication and versatility by mastering two sports at EMU, women's basketball and track and field. The overlapping skill sets necessary for both sports were a perfect fit for Wandella, and she performed especially well in the high jump event. At Belleville High School, Devers played basketball and ran track, and she continued to develop her basketball skills on the women's team at Washtenaw Community College. Honing in on her coaching skills, Devers served as assistant girls volleyball coach at Northville High School and coached girls softball for the Ypsilanti Recreation Department before lending her talents to EMU. From 1971 to 1973, while at EMU, Wandella Devers won 2 firsts as a track athlete in the high jump and played on a third-place women's basketball team. Expanding her efforts further, she became a MHSAA referee and game official from 1971 to 1982. Wandella graduated with a degree in physical education and went on to teach math and physical education for Van Buren Public Schools. The consummate athlete, she continued to advance her coaching skills in a broad range of girls' sports in Michigan middle and high schools, including basketball, softball, cheerleading, gymnastics, volleyball, and track and field. Taking on one more athletic challenge, Devers received a black belt in karate in 1992. In 2000, she received the prestigious E letter from EMU. Wandella joined the Michigan Spirits women's senior basketball team in 2012. That team was the first to represent the state of Michigan at the National Games, winning a gold medal at the Cleveland Games and 2 subsequent bronze medals. It is for her excellence and dedication to a broad range of athletic pursuits that Wandella Devers is being inducted into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
I don't know of anyone better to present Wandella than our EMU coach. Please welcome Geraldine Barnes.
Unlike my predecessors that have been up here, I need a script. Want to thank Robin and the E-Club and all the people that have worked so hard to get this honor for Wandella. And also Jessica of the Alumni Office for all her help in getting all these people here for her. I'd like to take you back a little bit and give you a little more personal look at Wandella. I think last night it was interesting at the table. They were talking about the past of women's sports, and the two gentlemen that were sitting there wanted to know about the past of women's sports and so on. And I thought, keep on talking, because those of you who were at the table, you're going to hear the same thing today. The only difference is that I'm going to take you back a little bit farther than you were talking at the table. I have this little, I'll call it a plaque thing, that I keep on my refrigerator that a friend of mine brought back from Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, which is located in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it says here, honor the past, celebrate the present, and promote the future. And today, this morning, we are going to honor the past with a few, I think, interesting things. Here's our rule book for basketball at that time, and also for track and field. And I can imagine that it's probably 10 times or 20 times that size now. But I'd like to thank Mr. James Richendaler, who has worked with, is he here? He is here, raise your hand. He has worked with Wandella for several years, and I was fortunate to get his help in some of the presentation of Wandella's endeavors while she was at Belleville. As an athlete, Wandella clearly evidenced a high level of athleticism at both the high school and college level. As mentioned, prior to Washtenaw Community College, she was a stellar basketball player, track and field performer, and outstanding female in participation of sports at Belleville. Sadly, the presence of outstanding female participants in girls' high school activities during this time and I'm not blaming just Belleville, because I think it was throughout the state and maybe even throughout the Midwest, that there was very little support for women in athletics. As an example, and I don't have these in any particular order, these are things that they did not have. Number one, and probably most important, as has been mentioned, scholarships. These women played, there were no scholarships. And as some of you may remember, Title IX came in the early 70s. Okay, on with this list here. There was very little ankle taping or wristing tape. We didn't have tape, we couldn't afford it. There were no weight rooms. The season was 6 weeks, and that enabled the women at that time to play in 3-4 different sports. There was no recruiting. I remember one time I put an ad in the Eastern Echo. If you want to play basketball, come see me, my office number is. There was quite a game transition. Some of these women probably played in elementary school, and the transition for basketball at that time went from half court, so you had 3 guards at one end and 3 forwards at the other, and then the opposite team and so on. Then it moved on to what we called a roving player, so you could have 2 players on your team that would rove, being able to cross the center line, and then eventually moved into the half court as they are playing today. records of the past, unfortunately, have been lost for many of the gals, not only in basketball, and I'm talking about at Eastern, because of all the moving around and changing administration and all that sort, and you know how that goes. So essentially, at the time, they were playing for the love of the sport and because they just like basketball. Going on a little bit more with the list here, we did not have overnights. Sometimes we drove in private cars, usually the coach's car, and whoever else was eligible to drive the car at that time. Insurance did not seem to be a policy, and it wasn't a problem. Maybe if they were lucky, they got $5 for food. I think most often the average was $2. Pick up a hamburger on the way home. No assistant coaches, no gate receipts, no cheerleaders, no bands. If we had 2 or 3 people come in and see what's going on, we had a big crowd. Uniforms. The uniforms were interesting. The department did have money for the gals to have uniforms. At the end of softball season or whatever, basketball or hockey, whatever, the gals that were playing would go back to the dorm or to the laundromat, wash their uniforms, bring them back to the office so the team that's playing next could wear those uniforms. We were lucky to get uniforms. And did I mention also no cheerleaders? Now, as I say, I don't want to say that this is, that I'm blaming Belleville High School for this. This was, I would say it was a Midwest area because we were controlled by what was called the Division of Girls and Women's Sports. And they put the restrictions on us, how many times you could practice. I think it was 2, maybe once in a while we got 3 in a week. 1 game a week, and usually that was on weekends, and most often on Saturday because that was a good day to travel. So the extraordinary skills that were evidenced by Wendella went unheralded in the respect and admiration of coaches, teammates, and opponents and classmates, both boys and girls. Wendella was sufficiently skilled in some areas of athletic competition to be on a par or above with the boys and did not hate to prove the opportunity. And I think that's true today, too. Going back to some of the interesting things that she did for her students at Belleville, she chose not to spend time in the lounge either complaining about or whatever. She spent her lunch hour getting to know as many students as possible by eating lunch with them. She explained the benefits of physical education to them, discussed their goals and aspirations, and encouraged them to be positive and productive. She then proceeded to spend additional lunch hours, preparation hours, and hours before and after school to organize, implement, and initially single-handedly supervise tournaments in basketball, table tennis, badminton during the lunch hour. She then extended the lunch hour program to include an open gym. Even further, she sponsored, and once again on her own time, after-school activities including archery, fencing, gymnastics, field hockey for interested students. Ms. Devers was clearly presented with challenges at various junctures in her professional career. She made the most of each situation, serving admirably and efficiently as teacher, coach, Black History Month, coordinator, sponsor, tutor, and mentor. During her athletic years at Eastern, in track and field and basketball, she exhibited outstanding skill abilities and was a team leader in both sports. Prior to 1976, had the records been retained, particularly in basketball, they would show that she was an outstanding scorer and rebounder and was tenacious on defense. Wandella always worked to improve her skills and encouraged her teammates to do the same. As a former instructor and coach of basketball, I have followed her career with great interest. In both teaching and coaching, she strived to develop new programs and improve upon the existing ones with much success. Her dedication to her students, unprecedented, demanding that they do their best, believe in themselves, and have faith in their goals and aspirations. Wandella has always been a proud graduate of Eastern Michigan University and reveres the education she received here, which enabled her to do an outstanding coach. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Wandella Devers.
Good job. I didn't want to mess all this stuff up.
Ooh, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Coach, she was a Hall of Famer also. Congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees. I am honored to share this platform with you. My greatest thank you goes to my parents. My mom had a wish that Darnell, Jill, and I attend a college or university. Through their hard work and sacrifices, we all did it, and we found success. My parents have been my great role models. My mom has passed on, but if she was living, she would be strutting like a peacock. But my dad continues to be a positive supporter in my life. And to all my family and friends, words could never express my gratitude for your existence in my life. Thanks for coming out and celebrating this grand affair. Like all of us, we've had some special milestones which have enhanced our lives. And through these milestones, I have been connected to most of all of you. Lynn Smidley, Washtenaw Community College, is where I fell in love with basketball. She coached, she transported, and years later I discovered she paid the referees. I mean, literally paid them. In 1984, I joined the Women's Okinawan Karate Club, led by Sensei Barbara Christensen. For the next 18 years, I learned to focus my mind, discipline my heart, and strengthen my body. In 1992, I earned my Shodan. My first camping experience began at Eastern Michigan University. As a result, for 38 years, I have continued to attend the Michigan Women's Music Festival. It brought me to Ubaka Hill, who taught me to attend to my spiritual side. And there I met my life partner, Cheryl Borton. One of my greatest achievements came about when Mr. Jim Richendaler hired me to teach at North Junior High, later became North Middle School, physical education. Becoming a teacher in Van Buren opened many doors. Here I worked with some of the finest educators and was influenced and touched by the lives of thousands of children and their families. Mr. Richendaler remains my mentor and good friend. I was there for 30 and a half years. I would like for my EMU teammates to stand up if they're present. I want you to know them. We played during a time women's basketball had no employment promises and frowned upon by many. But we encouraged people to look at women's basketball differently. Track and field had Wilma Rudolph. We had each other, our families, professors, and our loyal friends. We were each other's role models. We were the game changers and fundamental ball players, coached from the book and played with limited experiences. Ann Johnston just passed on January 20th. She exemplified the word fundamentals. I am proud to represent our era. This honor was made possible because of each of my teammates. Thank you. EMU, you did good. In the year 2000, EMU awarded all women athletes prior to 1975 their college letters. It took 33 years, but it happened because of the persistence of many of my teammates and our coach and many others. This is very commendable for a university to go back and make a wrong into a right. For those who may not know it, but you know it now because people have been talking about it, girls and women's sports was sanctioned by DGWS rules, and that was Division for Girls and Women's Sports. Also in the 60s, we played with 6 players. Only 2 could cross the center line, and we were limited to 3 dribbles. Our association was Girls Athletic Association, GAA. We have come a long ways. Therefore, I thank EMU for providing a safe and stimulating place to learn. Warner Gymnasium and Bowen Fieldhouse was home for all PE majors, athletes, and friends. Thank you, EMU. Presently, I am playing basketball in Detroit with the Michigan Spirits. It's a senior league. It's a senior master's program founded by Cal Dillsworth. Our ages range from 45 to 84 years of age. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Coach Dillsworth and Coach Roy Russ, for your insight, for providing a program for senior women to compete in basketball and have fun. So in closing, there are many reasons why I am here, and the number one reason is my love for playing the game of basketball. But I challenge you all to help in encouraging and supporting girls and women's sports. How? Think about what you say. Example, you throw like a girl. If I am throwing incorrectly, teach me to throw correctly. Girls push-ups. Oh, Jesus. No such thing. Mary Irene Bell, 101 Fundamentals of Movement. Class, the correct term is modified. Man-to-man defense, it's really time to change. Make this defense more appropriately named for all genders. EMU, you change from Hurons to Eagles. It can be done. I accept this nomination into the Hall of Fame with great pride. Thank you all.
That was really fun. Next up is men's basketball great Derrick Dial. Let's see what makes him a Hall of Fame member.
Derrick Dial, class of 1998, dominated the court as a 4-year starter for the EMU men's basketball team. With his 6'5" height and his excellent skills at guard, Derrick would prove himself to be one of the greatest players in EMU history. Dial graduated from Cass Technical High School and didn't waste any time in making the EMU basketball court his home. He helped lead the team to a 4-year record of 87-36 and to 2 NCAA tournament appearances, as well as 1 NIT postseason tourney. Clearly, the team depended heavily on Dial. He finished his career at EMU by playing in 124 games and starting 115 times. He scored an impressive 1,528 points, 317 rebounds, and 521 assists. A defining moment for Dial came in 1998 when he was named the Chevrolet Player of the Game for EMU when the team played Michigan State University in the NCAA tournament that year. In 1998, right out of EMU, Derrick Dial was drafted in the second round with the 52nd overall pick by the NBA's San Antonio Spurs. During his NBA career as a shooting guard, he also played for the New Jersey Nets, the Toronto Raptors, and the Orlando Magic. As an NBA player, Derrick was often selected to serve in a leadership capacity and to be a spokesperson for corporate and national sponsors. Off the court, he's given his time to several organizations dedicated to mentoring, motivating, and empowering youth to pursue educational excellence. In the further pursuit of his own educational excellence, he received certification from Harvard Business School and transitioned into a public relations career. But that didn't keep him away from the game of basketball. In February of 2008, Derrick began playing for the NBA Development League for the Anaheim Arsenal. Through hard work and determination, Derrick achieved great success for himself and his teams on the basketball court. It is for this reason that Derrick Dial is being inducted into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Usually presenters are the kind of people who know a lot about the inductee. I can't think of a better person to be a presenter than someone's parents. So join me in welcoming Derrick's parents, Johnny and Julia Dial.
Good morning. I am Johnny Dial. This is my wife, Julia. We are the parents of Derrick Dial. Derrick, we are honored that you elected us to be your presenter to Hall of Fame of Eastern Michigan.
And we have with us here to enjoy this his wife, Kenyatta, daughter, Zoe Faye, family, his cash tech coaches, the Shannon brothers. Derrick rode to Eastern Michigan University Hall of Fame. Derrick loved basketball. He loved balls. When he was young, he collected all colors, shapes, and sizes. He was good at baseball and football, but he loved basketball. And my husband made a basketball court to keep our children from playing in the street. Derrick loved to play, but in the afternoon, he couldn't entice his younger brother to play because he had to watch his cartoons. Therefore, Derrick would go to the sidewalk, dribble that basketball a couple of times, and do you know, in 5 minutes, he had a yard full of kids. Derrick was approximately the smallest, therefore he had to be able to score in order to stay in the game. That's where he perfected that three-pointer. Derrick learned at an early age that 20, 25 points didn't matter if you lose because he loved to win. It was then Derrick off to the Pal Leagues, then Cass Technical High School, where he was instrumental in helping them win a city championship. Next, it was on to Eastern Michigan University. Well, we grew some gray hairs, and sometimes our hearts would go racing during the second quarter. But the win outweighed the losses. When we reminisce, we think about EMU wins over Michigan, Wisconsin, Syracuse, and who of you can forget the win over Duke in Indianapolis? For 4 years, Derrick dazzled us with his charisma, skill, and integrity. He scrambled for every loose ball and rebound, and that high arch three-pointer silenced any opponent. We know that every time Derrick stepped on the court, he gave us his best. He gave EMU his best. And for that, Derrick, we thank you very, very much. And the rest is history.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm presenting to Derrick Dial to you.
I hear my child. Thank you. It's a great honor to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. When you think about a Hall of Fame speech, you think about a person talking about pulling themselves up by bootstraps and climbing that hill. That didn't happen for me. When I first came to Eastern, the first place I went is to the financial aid office, and my parents paid for my first year of school. That was my proudest moment and my lowest moment. And for that, to my mom and dad, you all kept my dream alive. You gave me life. I mean, I wouldn't be here on earth if it wasn't for you, but I definitely wouldn't be here. And for that, I thank you. I publicly thank you. I have so many people to thank. My Aunt Lee, who always treated me for a good report card. It had nothing to do with basketball, and she always ended her conversation with, "You know I love you, and I love you too." My Uncle Albert, who taught me what it was for a dad, how to treat his daughters. My Aunt Lee, who was a civil rights leader, who never took no for an answer. My wife and child. It gave me a bigger job than basketball could ever. But it's so fulfilling, and I'll thank them. To my coaches, my high school coaches, thank you. You always say, the strong take from the weak, but the smart take from the strong. And I kept that. I couldn't possibly, it would take hours to thank all the people that I could thank. And for my sister, who has passed on since I graduated here. She kept a scrapbook of every article, everything with Eastern in it. And she kept it and gave it to me on my graduation day. And it's different. This is my first event with my sister not being here. And for that, I thank her. It's true what they say, it really takes a village to raise a child. And I really love my village, and I really thank my village for raising me. I just thank them. Jack, thank you for the 6:30 workouts. And Jerry Shockey, thank you for your stories about Pistol Pete, but more, thank you for your stories about life. My life at Eastern was a great one. I loved it. I wish I could have appreciated the wins, but it was on to the next win. It was on to the next game. It was on to the next adventure. My teammates, Earl, James, John Zajac, Ink, Brian, all my teammates, they were good basketball players, but they were great people. And it was an honor playing with you all. I love going to work with you all because I felt we couldn't lose. And it was just a great experience, just playing 4 years with you. 4 years go by so quick. And they call 4 years a career. And you blink and it's over. But the memories, what you do in those 4 years, echo eternity. We did battle in the MAC where it was arguably the best talent the MAC had offered at that time. And I love the way they hated to see us coming. They hated us, and we loved it. My team played with a chip on their shoulder, and we just went up the street to Michigan and let them have it. I loved it. Here at Eastern was different. The community, the faculty, the staff, the coaches, it was all intertwined into one. And while I was here, everyone said it was such a great to have you playing here. We enjoyed watching you. But I enjoyed playing here just as much. I mean, the memories here, they last a lifetime. And I couldn't imagine playing anywhere else. To the Hall of Fame inductees, it's a pleasure and an honor to share this moment with you. The ones who came before us, thank you for paving the way, because I couldn't do this if you didn't do it first. Thank you. I had in my mind what my speech would be and what it would detail. You never know what it's going to bring. I'll compare my speech when I thought I was going to get inducted to what it is now. My speech is, the only thing that's similar is good morning. Hall of Fame speeches write themselves. It's just an honor and a pleasure to be inducted and leave Eastern better than when I got here. And finally, when my children ask me, Dad, did you play ball? Well, I can say, a little bit. Thank you.
Our next inductee is EMU Athletic Director Gene Smith. Sit back and enjoy the video.
Gene Smith is by far one of the most recognized and prized athletic administrators in EMU history. His long list of accomplishments is a reminder of the lasting positive influence Gene has had on EMU and even national athletics. After playing football at the University of Notre Dame, Gene joined the EMU athletic department staff in 1983 as an assistant athletic director. His talents were easily recognized, and after serving as interim director in 1985, he became the athletic director in 1986. During his EMU tenure, Gene Smith proudly saw the 1987 football team win the MAC championship on the way to a victory in the California Bowl. He watched the EMU men's basketball team win the MAC title in 1987 and 1991 and make the NCAA tournament both years, making it to the Sweet 16 in 1991. Gene helped to forever improve the EMU campus by directing the $13 million renovation of Rynearson Stadium. During his directorship, EMU won 2 Reese Trophies as the top men's athletic program in the Mid-American Conference. Gene Smith left EMU in 1993 to become the athletic director at Iowa State University, before serving as the athletic director at Arizona State and then Ohio State. His superb merits came to light on a national stage as Gene was identified as one of Black Enterprise's 50 most powerful African Americans in sports. In 2010, Gene was honored as the Sports Business Journal's Athletic Director of the Year. Continuing on in a career of distinction, Gene was the first African American president of the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. He served on the NCAA Management Council, as well as numerous NCAA committees, including the Committee on Infractions, the Executive Committee, the Football Rules Committee, the President's Commission Liaison Committee, and the National Football Foundation Honors Court, among others. In 2006, Gene was named to the NCAA Men's Division I Basketball Committee, and in 2010, he became the chairman. Gene Smith has been widely recognized among the leaders of his profession throughout his career. It is for his long record of excellence and leadership that Gene Smith is being inducted into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
Unfortunately, Gene was unable to make it today. However, former Sport Information Director Jim Streeter will be accepting the award on Gene's behalf. Jim?
Before I start with Gene, I just want to let Earl know I want that shirt that he had in his first headshot. That could come back in style real quickly. Actually, when I got here today, I saw that Courtney McAnuff, the vice president from Rutgers, was here, and Courtney and Gene were best buddies on a lot of different levels here, and should probably be doing the presentation, but we might be here till next week if Courtney was telling all of his stories. Probably most of them true. But while at Eastern, Gene was the leader of the athletic department that saw great success with football and basketball, and has been recorded on the video. But in addition to those, Gene really was he was a fan, a director, and a leader, and really liked all three. And he got involved in every community event going. As many people here know, he was a whirling dervish in the Gus Macker 3-on-3 summer tournament. And every game he played in, there was almost a fight because it got real physical. And Gene was a big-time, noontime hoopster. and Courtney and was also there, and Gene loved to have the biggest spin move in America and just run over everybody on the way to the hoop. But Gene also loved to go on road trips. And Bob England and Jack Moffitt, and I think Jack Bruzewitz went on some of those, and Courtney probably went on a few too, and they would gear up at the end of the day, work day, and put on their Eastern warm-ups and high-top tennis shoes, have the officials' names in their little book, and be able to yell at all the referees during the game. And they would take the van down to all the away games. And we were at one game, and of course, these guys knew all the referees' names, and they knew them by heart, you know. And there was one of the game officials was a guy named Pitts. So obviously, Gene and Courtney and everybody started yelling at this guy when he make a bad call. And they would, of course, there's a crowd, you know, around him, and they would yell out, Pitts, that was a bad call. Well, if you put a B in there in place of the P, you can imagine what people thought they were hearing. And probably not a good thing to be saying for an athletic director. But Gene didn't care. He was all about Eastern Michigan, and as was Courtney. And I know that Gene was very disappointed that he couldn't make it today, but he sent this response to everybody here. And in addition to welcoming the new additions to the Hall of Fame and to Ken Beamer, he said, Eastern Michigan is a very special place, and I will be forever grateful to Paul Schultz, former athletic director, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of his team. It was at EMU where I grew to love athletic administration and the daily work of providing student athletes the best possible environment in which to grow academically, athletically, and socially. Thanks to the opportunity I had to learn and grow at EMU with the leadership, with the partnership and mentorship of many outstanding professionals, I have enjoyed a career in athletic administration that has been tremendously rewarding. I am most humbled by this honor and proud to join my fellow inductees in the 38th class of the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame. Sincerely, Eugene D. Smith, Vice President and Athletic Director, The Ohio State University. Thanks, and I will accept this on Gene's behalf, and thank you.
We wish Gene the best, and thanks Streets for being here today. Our final inductee of the class of 2013 is football and men's basketball athlete Don Stewart. Let's hear about his accomplishments.
Gracing both the football field and the basketball court for EMU, Don Stewart, class of 1971, had great timing throughout his athletic career. He played for legendary coaches with renowned players and then became an award-winning coach in his own right. At Willow Run High School, Stewart played football for Coach Dwayne Devlin and was All-State quarterback in 1966. He also played basketball under Chuck Turner, one of the winningest basketball coaches in Michigan high school history. Once at EMU, Don was an outstanding quarterback for head coach and Hall of Famer Dan Boyster. So many great players from this era went on to the EMU Hall of Fame and became NFL stars as well. Don completed 136 of 269 passes for 2,018 yards and 20 touchdowns during his football career. On the basketball court, Don Stewart was an excellent point guard under head coach and Hall of Famer Jim Dutcher. The squad was so amazing that people would come early to the games just to watch the amazing dribbling show and thunderous dunks during the pre-game warm-up. After graduating from EMU, Stewart continued his contributions to athletics by teaching and coaching football and basketball at Willow Run High School and Lely High School in Naples, Florida, where he had the pleasure of coaching all three of his sons. Before retiring in 2009, Don had won 8 district championships and was named Southwest Florida Coach of the Year 10 times. Because of his longtime dedication to athletics and his determination to always strive for the best, Don Stewart is inducted into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame.
I'm sure our next presenter could share a story or two about Don growing up. Please welcome Don's brother David to the stage.
When Derrick started his speech, the first thought was he stole mine. Good afternoon, everyone. President Martin, Director, and board regent members. I'd like to acknowledge your presence here today because it puts the emphasis in the proper place for the contributions and the achievements of the people that are being honored here today. And my congratulations to all of the inductees. I have had a wonderfully good time back there listening to your achievements. Many of them I already knew about because I was here during the time, but many of the pieces started fitting together in a little different fashion for me today. So I thank you, and to learn more about them, I enjoyed the entire program. It is with great pride and joy that I introduce you to the next inductee to the program. You see, I've had a front row seat right from the day of his birth to where I stand here in front of you today. He was born and raised right here in Ypsilanti, one of 6 children to David and Essie Stewart. They came here during World War II to work in the bomber plant on behalf of the war effort that America was engaged in. He attended school K-12 at Willow Run and graduated in 1967. 1967 is also the first year in the beginning of his affiliation and his love for Eastern Michigan University. That was his freshman year. He has 5 beautiful children, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and an adoring wife, Tammy. He resides in Naples, Florida, where he has been for 31 years. He has often shared with me that he has met more EMU alumni in Naples, Florida than anywhere outside of Michigan. He was even recruited to Naples by an EMU alumni, Ralph Perella. His time at Naples has been 31, and for those of you who are into the metrics and do the numbers and kind of things, 31 years at Lely High School, 9 years before that at Willow Run, 2 years on staff at Eastern Michigan University as quarterback and receivers coach, and then 2 years at New Baltimore, Michigan as a teacher and coach. I say that because that's a large number. And the amazing thing about it is he's still actively teaching at Lely High School. Although he has officially retired as a staff coach at Lely, he is now on staff at the Christian Academy, where his son Scott directs the basketball program. When one mentions the name Eastern Michigan University, most people think of the beautiful campus, rightfully so, the wonderful facilities, and maybe its long history. When Don and I talk about Eastern, and we do often, and when we talked about it a long time ago and when we talk about it today, those things are the beautiful part of that, but the most valued part is the people, the cadre of excellent staff that were here, that groomed us. They demand excellence that were instilled in us in very dramatic and hard ways. I don't want to lose that part here today. They were tough on us, but it was a toughness that produced the legacy that you see before you today. I salute those who did that for both of us during our developmental years here. And I also particularly want to thank and salute the current staff, those responsible for last night and today's activities. You are grooming tomorrow's leaders while honoring past contributors. This is an important part. No, I probably should say this is a critical part of passing and putting forth a valued legacy. This is, next inductee continues this tradition to this day, teaching, mentoring, and tutoring. He's not going to like this, but I'm going to share it anyway. At this point in his career, he is now currently working with children and grandchildren of his first protégés. Along with my family, my childhood friends, and our colleagues, I present to you Don Stewart.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It was morning, but we have made our way into the... Thank you, David, for such a nice introduction. My brother David has been such a positive influence in my life, as well as an inspiration for our entire family. He was also a very good wrestler at Eastern Michigan, and later became the coach at Eastern Michigan, so our family ties to Eastern Michigan actually begin with him. I would like to thank Jessica, Eric Wallin, and all of the Eat Club and alumni relations team who patiently answered all my questions as well as put on this detailed program that we are all grateful recipients of this weekend. Now, after having watched the video, when Jessica sent me the information, it said, send any pictures or anything about your life. If you watch the video there, that one video of our junior high basketball team, that was not Coach Jim Dutcher coaching us at Edmondson Elementary School or Edmondson Junior High. But some of my friends are actually here today. You know, you have to be very careful or your imagination can really get the best of you. As you watch that bio, they left a couple of things out, but I had just been honored by David Stern, the NBA commissioner, for being Coach of the Year in Florida. I got inducted into Willow Run's Hall of Fame. Then my good friend Eric Wallin calls and says that Eastern Michigan was going to induct me in their Hall of Fame. I mean, I was on a roll. So I hope you can understand my excitement when one Saturday morning I was getting out of the shower, towel draped around me, face with shaving cream on it, when my wife Tammy yells out excitedly, "Hey, Don, Sports Illustrated's on the phone." Well, holy cow, Sports Illustrated. I mean, they're going to do a story on all of this. So I brushed off the shaving cream, raced to the phone, and with great excitement and anticipation, put my ear to the phone to hear, for just 75 cents an issue. I learned right then that you have to keep everything in perspective. As I reflected on my years at Eastern Michigan, my years of playing and then coaching, I concluded that, one, God has truly blessed my life. Two, I have been the beneficiary of a family who loved and supported me. that I've been surrounded by great friends, great teammates, great teachers, great coaches, and that thirdly, I was in the right place at the right time throughout my entire career. As you know, I attended Willow Run High School. I entered Willow Run High School in the fall of 1963. The football team won the state championship in football under the leadership of legendary coach Joanne Clark. I would say that placed the bar pretty high. Well, this ushered in an era of extremely high expectations for all the rest of our young players there in the football program. And we worked real hard to keep that going. In basketball, I was always surrounded by great athletes, players who pushed me every day in practice. Our coach, Chuck Turner, who led us to the state championship game, went on to be inducted into Michigan's Hall of Fame as one of the winningest coaches in Michigan history. Again, right place, right time. The atmosphere at Willow Run was exciting. And you know, I'm honored today to have some of my classmates, teammates, and best friends. They're here today to share this experience with me. And I would like really to recognize my friends. Norbert Glover and his wife Janice. Please stand up, Norbert. He was the all-state football player, all-state fullback on that team. And I'm telling you right now, we were in the 60s. No one can sing My Girl better than Norbert Glover, including David Ruffin. He kept us on our bus trips. It was just one song after another. Thank you, Norbert, for that. Thank you for your friendship. I have another close friend. We go way back. Leland Phillips and his wife, Carol. Leland, stand up. Now, there are only a few people in this room who really understand what it meant to grow up in Willow Run Village. He and I, we were raised in that village. We go way back for there. Thank you very much for coming today. Doug Winters. Doug, you're here. Stand up. Doug was a little younger than me, but Doug was always a great friend, and he is now our Ypsilanti Township attorney. Thank you, Doug. Cheryl Timmons and Susan Johnson, two of my best friends. Please stand up real quick. Come on. These are two. I just want everyone to know it means a lot to me for them to take the time to be here today. They were special then, and they're special friends today. After graduating from Willow Run, I was privileged to get a scholarship to Eastern Michigan University. That just happened to be growing by leaps and bounds and wanted a sports program that reflected the growth, excitement, and pride of a major university. Sharing that vision, EMU President Dr. Harold Sponberg placed Frosty Verzaka in charge of ushering in a new era of sports for Eastern Michigan, and Eastern Michigan took off. Dan Boyster with future Hall of Fame coaching staff, Dick Mosley, Norm Parker, Nick Coso, Baskin Badlow, Ted Guthard. They led the football team. We got off to a 6-0 start that first year, and it was exciting. But it was from the great coaches that I'd really benefited. I was surrounded by great coaches, who most of them are in this Hall of Fame, and I was surrounded by great players. I happened to be at Eastern at exactly the right time. Some of them are here today. Eric Wallin, Norbert Glover, David Purifoy, Chip Gooden, Warren White, Mike Yankee, Larry Radcliffe, John Schmidt, Gary Grady, all in the Hall of Fame, all people that I was privileged to be teammates with. In basketball, Jim Dutcher, Al Freund, and Harold Simons brought in some serious talent. The Marlette brothers, Kennedy McIntosh, Earl Higgins, Dwayne Dillard, Jesse Evans, Lindell Reason, Al Jagutis, Earl Dixon, Jim Ryan, and of course, George Gervin. People came to the games early, and this is still it comes to my mind. They came to the games early to watch the pregame warm-ups, the spectacular dunks, And in all respect, Earl, because I know you are an unbelievable player, but no one could dribble the basketball better than Phil Reggio. Phil Reggio, my teammate, he put on a dribbling exhibition, and those are the kind of things that we all remember when we get together. You see, not only did I get an opportunity to play college football and basketball, but I was watching. I was taking notes. I was paying attention to how all these coaches managed their teams. I was like a sponge. And it wasn't just my immediate coaches. I used to come in and watch track practice with Hall of Fame Coach Parks. I would come watch Ron Ostrich throw sawdust on our Bowen Fieldhouse floor so that the baseball team could practice sliding. I thought that was quite ingenious. And I was always there at Coach Ostrich's euchre tournaments. How many of you remember the euchre tournaments that Coach Ostrich put on? But this whole experience allowed me to have a great playing career, but it prepared me for my career. And that was to be a teacher and a coach. I know things change, they have to, but I really feel that I was blessed to be at Eastern Michigan during this era. The closeness of the players, the different characters who made the whole experience unique. Terry Clark, Charlie. Does anyone really know what Charlie's job was? John Fountain, Ron Venus, Gary Strickland, Ron Nemeth, goes on and on. Jim Streeter, who was just a college sports writer and later became EMU's sports information director. They were all there at this era, this time, and they always made me feel very, very special. Most of the people in the Hall of Fame are here because of what they did for Eastern Michigan. I'm here because of what Eastern Michigan did for me. It allowed me to play college football and basketball, to meet some of the most amazing people, and develop lifetime associations and friendships. It prepared me for my career in teaching and in coaching. You know, I noticed when we all walked in here today, it still says, Eastern Michigan, education first. I want to conclude today by saying that I am really humbled by this nomination, and it is with gratitude to so many people that I stand here today being inducted into Eastern Michigan's Hall of Fame. May God continue to bless Eastern Michigan University. Thank you very much.
Don, you might want to stay right here. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Would all today's inductees please come onto the stage for the induction moment? Eastern, sacred alma mater, to your name we shall be true. Ever marching on to victory, we'll stand by to see you through. Softly floating on the breeze, verdant green with white of snow. This our banner we will carry in our heart wherever we go. To those of exemplary calling, these awards for performance of excellence, honor, and skill. Congratulations, you are now Hall of Famers. Let's have another round of applause for the class of 2013. So I have some closing remarks. Before we close, I want to make a plea to all of you today, especially our former letter winners. Don't let this great feeling in this room stand as just a moment of time. Get involved in our athletic program. We need you. If you're a letter winner, please become a member of the E-Club, www.eclubletterwinners.com. Cheap. We can't continue to grow and enhance our programs without your help. We have tradition that we need to continue to support. Please stand with us with your time and any financial resources that you can give us. And while I'm on the topic of joining groups, get involved with the Alumni Association too. Just get involved. For example, let me thank a group of people who contributed to the cost of this event. I'd like to recognize our Hall of Fame sponsors: Howard Booth, Glenn Davis, Daniel Ferguson, George Harrison, Lori Hubbard, Jack Johnson, Hildred Lewis, Bob Oliver, John Schmidt, Jim Streeter, Gary Strickland, and Virgil Wyndham Jr. Their generous support is greatly appreciated. No event of this kind can take place without the work of a great many people. First of all, I'd like to thank, as many of the inductees have, Jessica Netziba of the Alumni Office. We couldn't do this without you, Jess. And Greg Steiner from Athletic Media Relations. It just couldn't happen without the two of them, so thank you, both of you. Last but not least, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize the E-Club Board of Directors. One of the benefits of being on this board is that people that come together because of a common interest become your friends, and these people are all my friends. And they work very hard to advance our programs. So please stand and remain standing as I call your name. Secretary Jack Johnson. Vice President Howard Booth. Board members Melissa Bader, Angie Fielder, Hildred Lewis, Jim Nelson, Jenny Scherer, who couldn't be here today, Jim Streeter, Eugene Thomas, Eric Wallin, and Khalid Walton. Thank you all so much. Before we dismiss, just a quick announcement. The wall in the back of this room will magically open and lunch will be there. Please wait for a dining services staff member to dismiss your table. We also have a representative from Jostens selling varsity E-rings and Hall of Fame rings. So if you're a former letter winner and have lost your ring, or you're a new Hall of Fame member or an existing Hall of Fame member, order your ring today or purchase a varsity letter jacket. The proceeds from those sales help support the E-Club. After lunch, I'd like to see all of you at the Convocation Center. I'd like us to be rude hosts to the Toledo Rockets and the Bowling Green Falcons. You know, it's odd, they should have just driven together to take their beating. And also be sure to visit the Hall of Fame in the atrium. It's the crown jewel of the Convocation Center, and the plaques for this year's class are already up. You should have received game tickets in your envelopes this morning. We also invite you to join us in the Eagle's Nest on the second floor for some light refreshments at any point during the game. And be sure to stick around for the halftime ceremony where the class of 2013 will again receive some special recognition. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you all so much for coming.